Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio. Full disclaimer, in that studio, you might hear beeping in the background because Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning, and I am so glad that you've joined us this morning because we have a lot to cover, a lot of updates from this whole week's worth of shows and before. We've got a little bit more conversation about Governor Hochul getting heat from both sides when it comes to postponing the gas stove ban or the all-electric businesses and houses, however you want to word it. Getting heat from both sides. We're going to give you some quotes this morning on it as well. We're going to tell you a little bit about that, as well as an update on this, I don't know what you'd call it, this campaign against Elise Stefanik by Bruce Blakeman and kind of the surprise there, the confusion by many as to why he's taking on this challenge now, why he didn't do it earlier, why he's kind of being a fly in the ointment. Many people are considering him. We'll talk about that as well. And in the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to hear from our good buddies from Comic-Con, because Comic-Con begins tomorrow. So we want to talk to them about all the excitement surrounding Comic-Con, which is at the Arnott Mall Event Center. Okay, if you have not seen this video yet, I highly recommend you go to Fox News and find it. It's President Trump who paused his busy day, always a busy day, at the Oval Office for the president, to greet visiting children. He handed out small gifts. I think maybe they were challenge coins or something like that. And one of the young kids wanted to know the president's name. And in a different media landscape, a fair media landscape, this would be making the rounds everywhere because of how adorable it was when the kid, obviously nervous, didn't want to confront the president with a question directly. So a speaker off camera said he wants to know what your name is. The president then responded, "My name is Donald," he said with a grin. Trump then offered, yes, it was challenge coins to the children. And it was journalist Selena Zito's grandchildren, White House confirmed, who stopped by to say hi. The video is the latest in a pattern of sweet moments Trump has shared with some of his youngest supporters, including coloring with kids at the Easter egg roll earlier in the year, and him being the grandfather of 11 grandchildren. Trump said to one of the kids, "Do you want one of these coins?" Something to that extent. When she took it, she said, "Yes, she's smart. She's so cute." One commenter under the video said, "That's a grandpa doing grandpa stuff." And another said, "Kindness transcends politics." Moments like this have become routine. The video ended with the president offering then pens to Zito's grandchildren. "Okay, do you want a pen? One of them? 1, 2, 3. Just a nice, touching video at a time when we see so many, I guess you could say, attacks on the president by the media. Oh, a couple quick things before we get into the serious, and there is a lot of serious this morning. Did you see, this I think is going to surprise many of you. Many of you that are perhaps getting ready for work right now. And you think back to the days where perhaps your job was virtual during the pandemic. Maybe it was never virtual. But you know, I'm sorry, got a little frog in my throat. You know that a lot of people have become accustomed, and it's become a real issue in major corporations, major businesses, have become accustomed to, quote, working from home. And there's a lot of upsides for the employee, it seems like, but a lot of downsides overall for the businesses. Well, at the Democratic National Committee, and he's not that popular already, DNC Chairman Ken Martin has made a new set of rules. He has issued a directive to end remote work for employees. These employees will now be required to show up to the office 5 days a week. Now, Ken Martin has had a tough go at it as the head of the DNC. He, at that one phone call, was nearly on the verge of tears, saying why wasn't he getting more attention. At that point, David Hogg was still in the picture, saying that David Hogg's getting more attention than me. He, when questioned about Mamdani's past anti-Semitic statements and if that kind of disqualifies him from the Democratic Party, he says, no, we're a big tent. essentially saying, no, that we'll let anybody in, even people that espouse anti-Semitism. Well, now his employees are outraged that he is asking them, after a landslide, historic loss just a year ago, asking that they come back to actual in-office work. They are outraged. Leadership of the union representing DNC employees put out a statement following the news of the directive, describing it as callous having to show up to work. This kind of paints a larger picture of the Democrats' political talking points, too. Not necessarily worker-friendly. Reports from those on the staff-wide call also described an immediate flurry of thumbs-down emojis and other signs of anger upon news of this new requirement. Quote, this is the union representing the DNC employees. Quote, it was shocking to see the DNC chair disregard staff's valid concerns on today's team call. DNC staff worked extremely hard to support historic wins for Democrats up and down the ballots last Tuesday. And this change feels especially callous considering the current economic conditions created by the Trump administration. All right, getting that politics in there. Okay. And Martin wasn't the only, Martin was, I understand, the leader of the union there, saying, and Martin wasn't the only Democrat who had some harsh and pointed words for Democrat Party staffers. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. Neera Tanden, former President Joe Biden's domestic policy advisor, had a similar message for DNC staffers, suggesting there were many eager folks waiting in line who would likely be more than willing to go in the office. It was Ken Martin. I got that worded wrong. Ken Martin, the head of, I don't even remember his name. The chairman of the DNC reportedly told employees that if they don't like the new policy, they should go to work elsewhere. And that's when Neera Tanden weighed in and saying there's people waiting in line to work for the DNC. Okay. Quote, if you think democracy is on the line, working in the office is not a big ask, Tanden wrote. Wow, everything is democracy on the line, huh? And there are plenty of other people willing to step up. Get yourselves together, people. This is not a good look for the DNC. A left-wing group, the Center for New Liberalism, echoed the views that staffers should look elsewhere if working from home is a must-have. When you accept a job on a campaign or with an organization like the DNC, your single purpose is to win the election. It is a demanding job that requires long hours and sacrifices. The other part of this is that I suspect work-from-home staff are probably losing opportunities for themselves by not being in the office. Campaigns require a lot of personal sacrifice. But the people who are good at their job and work to make themselves noticed in the office usually tend to go on to do bigger things. Ooh. One Florida-based Democrat strategist, Steve Scale, who led Barack Obama's statewide efforts in Florida back in 2008, said there should be a requirement that the work at the DNC that you've done at least 2 cycles on an actual battleground campaign where terms like flex hours and hybrid work don't exist. Boy, not really sympathetic to their employees at the DNC who just want to work from home. Former Trump White House press secretary Sean Spicer said, you can't make this up. The DNC union is, we'll say, upset that the chairman is calling staff back to the office 5 days a week. GOP strategist Matt Gorman quipped the images of DNC staffers logging on a Zoom call in their pajamas amid all the chaos of Biden's reelection is hilarious. And GOP National Press Secretary Kristen Pell said the best part is that they still get 2 full months before they actually have to go out of bed 5 days a week. Is this a political committee or a daycare? Wow. Now, earlier this year, the Congressional Progressive Staff Association sent a letter to the top House and Senate leaders proposing a rotation of 32-hour work weeks for congressional staffers, arguing it would be a more substantial approach to work on a national level. That, too, mocked by, in this case, Richie Torres, said, why not be bold and ask for a 0-hour work week? I wonder how blue-collar Americans would feel about white-collar workers demanding a 32-hour work week. He raises a good point. So it's hard to be sympathetic for either side in this scenario when it's shocking all these years, quote unquote, after COVID, that they're still working from home. And it's shocking that the DNC and Ken Martin had the audacity to ask them to return to work. All right, on a more serious note, when we come back, we've got a couple of quick updates from things that we brought to you recently. Some breaking news stories. Just wanted to start, because it's Friday, start a little different with some different topics. We are going to talk a lot more about Governor Hochul and this position, which became probably the biggest topic yesterday, even with the government shutdown ending. Talk about the essentially the ban on gas, propane, and heating oil in new buildings, new infrastructure, new houses. We'll talk about that. Quite a few New York updates. So we're just getting warmed up. Starting off a little different this morning. As I said, we've got a lot to cover. So keep those waves, keep those comments coming in, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
This is a Collector Consumer Alert. Hi, my name is Jared Johnson with SueTheCollector.com. Did you know that repossessions are on the rise in America? If your car, truck, or motorcycle has been repossessed by an agent that broke a lock, assaulted you, or trespassed on your private property, you have rights. Call us for a free case review at 1-877-BAD-REPO. You pay nothing unless we win money for you. Call me now.
Yeah, hello. I'm really not sure if this is what you all do, but I really don't have anywhere else to turn.
Hi. I don't even know why I'm calling right now. I'm sorry. My thoughts are going a mile a minute.
My kids are out of state. My buddies from the army are all gone now. I'm really alone.
I left the service last year. My mom just passed away a few months ago. I miss so much time with her. I keep getting calls about the bills, and I'm trying to get a job, but I feel so stuck.
Okay, ma'am. I'm glad you called.
Okay, sir. Let's stay on the line and walk through some things.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Comment from a viewer. Wait, they have to go to work? Boo-hoo! Get out of bed, you bums, and put in a full day of work instead of sitting in front of the TV. Thank you very much. Okay, this is scary. Senator John Fetterman, who we've been talking so much about lately, was hospitalized out of an abundance of caution yesterday after falling and hitting his face during a morning walk near his home in Braddock, Pennsylvania. Doctors diagnosed the Pennsylvania Democrat with a ventricular fibrillation flare-up. Excuse me. That was a tough one to try to pronounce at 6:13 in the morning, meaning his heart wasn't pumping blood correctly due to an irregular heartbeat, and it can be life-threatening. He is doing well and receiving routine observation at the hospital, his office announced. He has opted to stay so doctors can fine-tune his medication regimen. Senator Fetterman is grateful for the EMTs, doctors, and nurses who are providing his care. The 56-year-old was feeling lightheaded and suffered unspecified minor injuries from the fall. He received treatment at a Pittsburgh hospital. Now, you've got to keep in mind this is scary because John Fetterman had suffered that stroke right before he was elected to the Senate, if you recall. Fetterman did quip in a statement, "If you thought my face looked bad before, wait until you see it now." Now, the accident took place 2 days after the publication of his new memoir, Unfettered, was released, and it relates to his various health problems, including a battle with depression early in his term. He survived a stroke back in 2022, months before his election to the Senate. I forgot it was months, because there was a lot of talks of that really being the deciding factor in people, perhaps, and it did not prove to be true, not voting for him. So we'll keep you updated if we hear anything on that, as we learn more information that happening yesterday. Also, and this is a sad note when it comes to just a champion for New Yorkers who may not even realize it. Fox and Friends host Janice Dean, who was so outspoken and amazing and brave when it came to then Governor Andrew Cuomo, and continuing to this day, she still is a champion for the victims in the nursing home and their families who died because of the decision by Governor Cuomo to put COVID-positive patients in those nursing homes amongst our most vulnerable. She was giving interviews, writing op-eds. I remember at the time just watching her with awe, the work, because she lost, if I'm not mistaken, lost her in-laws, and they weren't allowed to see those in-laws, but lost those, at the time, you weren't allowed to go in to the nursing homes, but lost those family members because of Governor Cuomo's decision. Well, Janice Dean, who is a Fox News meteorologist and host of Fox and Friends, has announced that she's going to take a break from the network as she deals with health issues that require rest and time to heal. She was diagnosed back in 2005 with multiple sclerosis, which I was not aware of. Said she'll be taking a break from social media as well. I wanted to let you all know that I'm taking a break from work and social media for a bit. I'm okay, but I've had some health issues that require rest and time to heal. My bosses at Fox have been kind and understanding, and I feel blessed to be able to take a break to be with my family. The trip to Rome with Sean was a good place to start healing spiritually, and now I have to get back to feeling healthy and strong. I've always been upfront and honest about my life, and I felt I owed you an explanation of my absence, but I will be back, grateful to you all for your kind words. She thanked her fans for their incredible kindness and support in a follow-up comment. You guys made me cry, but a good cry. I promise a lot of rest, and I'll take good care of myself. I appreciate all these beautiful words. So again, Janice Dean taking a break, an unspecified amount of time, from Fox and Friends. Okay. Yesterday, a breaking story. The Justice Department has sued to block the new congressional district boundaries approved by California voters, joining a legal battle that could determine which party wins control of the U.S. House in 2026. The complaint filed in California federal court targets the new congressional map pushed by Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom, who we learned yesterday, according to The Hill, is right now the number one frontrunner in the Democrat Party for 2028 to lead their ticket in the presidential race. To me, that means that you completely ignore the disastrous handling of the California wildfires, or you look at the economy of California, you look at the public safety in California, but you ignore all that. He gives interviews. He's been being very snarky and sarcastic on his Twitter, and I guess that is enough to propel him to the front of the race. Now this, according to Pam Bondi, quote, California's redistricting scheme is a brazen power grab that tramples on civil rights and mocks the democratic process. Governor Newsom's attempt to entrench one-party rule and silence millions of Californians will not stand. Now that Proposition 50 was overwhelmingly approved by the people of California, it's a constitutional amendment changing the congressional boundaries to give Democrats a shot at winning 5 seats now held by Republicans in next year's midterm elections. The Justice Department is joining a case challenging the new map that was brought by the California Republican Party last week. The Trump administration accuses California of racial gerrymandering in violation of the Constitution by using race as a factor to favor Hispanic voters with the new map. It asks a judge to prohibit California from using the new map in any future elections. The lawsuit says race cannot be used as a proxy to advance political interests, but that is precisely what the California General Assembly did with Proposition 50. the recent ballot initiative that junked California's pre-existing electoral map in favor of a rush job gerrymandering of California's congressional district lines. So that will be something to watch closely. Again, you got to take a look back. Gavin Newsom, a star in the Democrat Party right now. So we'll see what he has to say at some point. All right, we got to take another short break. We have a couple other breaking stories. Then we are going to get into a couple things on the government shutdown. Not a lot on the end of the government shutdown, I should say. But if you have any thoughts on it, it kind of ties in with some people trying to make a name for themselves in the Democrat Party, whether that is maybe moving up in position to a senator or to a governor or something, or if you look for someone like Gavin Newsom to make it a political talking point for his presidential run. Also, did you happen to see, I hope we get a chance to bring this up, Zohran Mamdani had a very secretive meeting with a senator from Massachusetts. Now, again, the mayor-elect of New York City, Zohran Mamdani, having a secretive meeting where they actually closed the blinds with Elizabeth Warren. What could be her purpose there? What could be his? Why would they have that meeting? Of course, you know, it probably has a lot to do with the tax the rich idea and the push towards this socialism at a time when they're bragging that Hochul actually got to meet with them. There are two different articles. Hochul actually got to meet with Zohran. This is exciting when he's meeting also in a different time and place with, I assume, with Elizabeth Warren. So we may talk about that as well, but stay with us. Just getting warmed up on this Friday morning edition of Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.
This is a Sue the Collector consumer alert. Hi, my name is Jared Johnson with SueTheCollector.com. Did you know that repossessions are on the rise in America? If your car, truck, or motorcycle has been repossessed by an agent that broke a lock, assaulted you, or trespassed on your private property, you have rights. Call us for a free case review at 1-877-BAD-REPO. You pay nothing unless we win money for you. Call me now.
Every day is a chance to do something meaningful. At Quick Fill, it can start with a tank of gas or a cup of Bradley Street coffee. Free every day in November with a purchase of our Operation Give Thanks mug. Whether you're fueling up, purchasing a mug, or making a donation, you're part of something bigger. Through Operation Give Thanks, you can feel proud knowing you're helping make a difference in the lives of veterans and their families.
We are the keepers of the wild, America's original and most invested conservationists. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving wildlife and the natural landscapes that define our nation. From rugged alpine ridgelines to peaceful tall grass prairies, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. Our funding has led to cleaner water, fresher air, and improved wildlife habitat. From abundant fish and waterfowl populations to robust deer and elk herds, nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters, stewards of the American outdoors.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. Got a couple comments about that meeting. Wow, we'll have to talk about that a little bit sooner than I thought, about Mamdani and Elizabeth Warren. Good morning, Frank, writes one viewer. There's hope for New York City. The new communist mayor is getting advice from an American Indian. Yes, Elizabeth Warren historically claiming that Native American heritage to benefit her career, and then called out for it, and effectively by President Trump. Comment from a different viewer. Sounds like Mamdani is already attempting to plant the seeds of communism in the minds of his comrades. Well, there's a reason why when Governor Hochul attends an event with him, which she does a lot for someone that will not endorse her, she gets shouted down by his supporters with tax the rich. But a couple breaking stories. A federal judge in Chicago has ordered the Department of Homeland Security to release more than 600 illegal immigrants held at a suburban detention center, blasting the agency for, quote, repeated material violations, end quote, of a court-approved consent decree that limited who could be detained under U.S. immigration law. Now, we talked a lot about activist judges. This reeks of activism. U.S. District Judge Jeffrey Cummings ruled that more than 600 detainees being held at the Broadview ICE Center must be released, quote, on bond and into ICE's Alternatives to Detention program by November the 21st, citing what he called a pattern of unlawful arrests and confinement. The order stems from a class action lawsuit claiming federal agents unlawfully detained hundreds of immigrants who were not subject to mandatory detention or final removal orders, a direct violation of the 2021 Biden-era decree inherited by the Trump administration. In the ruling, Cummings accused DHS of holding migrants in unsafe and unsanitary conditions. The judge further said the department's recent reversal on detention authority represented a 180-degree change from previous legal interpretations. The decision could force the largest single-day release of ICE detainees in Illinois in years, freeing hundreds arrested during Operation Midway Blitz, a Trump enforcement sweep. Michelle Garcia, deputy legal director at the ACLU of Illinois, said today was a good day as the court ordered the immediate release of 13 people who've been wrongfully arrested and detained by federal immigration officials. More than 600 others may soon walk free as the court enforces our agreement with the federal government, a step toward accountability for years of unlawful arrests. No mention of the unlawful entry into the United States. Tricia McLaughlin, Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs at DHS, said at every turn, activist judges, sanctuary politicians, and violent rioters have actively tried to prevent our law enforcement officers from arresting and removing the worst of the worst. Now an activist judge is putting the lives of Americans directly at risk by ordering 615 illegal aliens to be released into the community. Cummings ordered DHS to identify detainees considered high public safety risks who may remain in custody and to file a compliance report by November the 24th. So that is a breaking story from yesterday. Also breaking, Pam Bondi announced yesterday that the Department of Justice is now looking for a suspect who attacked the office of Alina Habba. I know I've never pronounced her name right, and I apologize. The acting U.S. attorney to the District of New Jersey. On Wednesday, a male suspect allegedly attempted to confront Alina Habba before destroying property in her office and fleeing the scene. No other details of the incident have been provided. Bondi said, thankfully, Alina is okay. Any violence or threats of violence against any federal officer will not be tolerated, period. This is unfortunately becoming a trend as radicals continue to attack law enforcement agents around the country. We will find this person and the individual will be brought to justice. Our federal prosecutors, agents, and law enforcement partners put their lives on the line every day to protect the American people, and this department will use every legal tool available to ensure that their safety and hold violent offenders fully accountable. Habba said that she will not be intimidated by radical lunatics for doing, quote, my job. Now, we've seen an increase in these violent attacks. We just saw that, on a lesser note, that plane with 4 sitting Congress people, they had to be diverted because of someone becoming unhinged, and as they were walking out said, we live in a fascist state. So now these disruptions have become mainstream, and then it leads to tragedy, like the assassination of Charlie Kirk, this radicalism, these attacks that have sadly become the norm from the left. We also have, and this is an update before we talk about the government shutdown. President Trump had talked about this, and I hadn't really heard anything more about it. But yesterday, Kristi Noem, Homeland Security Secretary, handed out, get this, $10,000 bonus checks to Transportation Security Administration agents who exhibited exemplary service while working without pay during the government shutdown. Now, when I first saw Trump talking about this for some of these various workers, whether it was TSA, whether it was air traffic control people, and I thought, man, imagine if you did miss a day or you missed a couple, and it was not for a nefarious reason, but you lost out on that $10,000 bonus. Or on the other side of the coin, you just did your job and you said, boy, this stinks, but I know I'll get back pay. I'm going to struggle, but I'm going to keep doing my job because I don't want to lose my job, like most people would think in kind of a different working environment. And then all of a sudden you're blessed with a $10,000 bonus. But KHOU 11 captured the moment. Noem stopped speaking to reporters in front of her at a press conference at Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport and turned to present about a dozen TSA agents with the checks. The secretary shook each of the recipients' hands as she passed out envelopes containing their $10,000 bonuses. Wow. I hope they were checks and not. They didn't have to rush to their car before that breaking news hit, which a Trump administration official said would be going to several thousand other agents who received high performance marks from their supervisors during the government shutdown. Now, this press conference was held as the record-breaking 43-day government shutdown ended, and I think this was a nice way to start into the discussion, just a quick discussion on the government shutdown. But President Trump had recommended a $10,000 bonus for air traffic controllers who worked during the shutdown as well. When asked about this by Laura Ingraham, where the money would come from, Trump answered, I don't know, I'll get it from someplace. I always get the money from someplace regardless. It doesn't matter. I do a lot of bonuses for people because it's really something that it's like the American way when you think about it. So, wow. The checks given to the TSA agents on Thursday were from carryover funds from fiscal year 2025. An internal memo from the Department of Homeland Security said that was obtained by MSNBC. So, nice little bonus for those that worked through the government shutdown. Again, I do always think it's interesting. And listen, it was the longest government shutdown in history. I understand that. And I know it can be a struggle if you're living paycheck to paycheck, but I would say you know that back pay is coming. So keep doing your job. And in this case, for those TSA agents, it gave them a $10,000 windfall, which would be a nice little check right before the holidays, I would say. But speaking of the government shutdown, and we know a lot of people suffered. Those workers, the TSA workers, air traffic controllers, who were doing their job with no paycheck. You had the same with our military. I mean, that's why this is such a political beast, these shutdowns, because somehow Congress gets paid, members of Congress, but our armed forces don't get paid. Obviously, this was designed in a way that was to inflict the most pain and from a PR perspective, create the most visual optical damage, which is when you see the numbers that even those in Congress that said they didn't want to get paid during it. There's still a rule in the Constitution that they do get paid. So I was reading a little bit about it yesterday, and it was fascinating to see how much they were getting while others did not get that kind of money. But we know, or any money for a while, but we know that if you listen to Chuck Schumer, the worse it got for the American people and the workers, the better optically it was for them. Now we know at the end of the day, what did they accomplish? Pretty much everybody's saying nothing. But not Madeline Dean, representative from the great state of Pennsylvania. She's a Democrat. She stated, and we'll go into a commercial break on this before we start talking more about government shutdown. She stated, by shutting the government down, we were able to focus on and get everybody else focused on the unaffordability of health care across the nation, or across this country, excuse me. And, quote, we were very successful. So by shutting it down and getting nothing that you asked for, it was very successful because it got people talking. After viewing criticism of the shutdown and its harms on the American people from Senator John Fetterman, Dean said, I disagree with him on his vote over and over and over again for the simple reason that we made a very strong argument. These were extraordinary circumstances, but the American people got it that by shutting the government down, we were able to focus on and get everybody else focused on the unaffordability of health care across this country. After citing testimony from someone at a field hearing about how their costs will go up, Dean stated, quote, "So what I would say is we were very successful. The American people agreed with us that health care is unaffordable. They also agreed with us that this administration, with its incredibly callous cutting off of SNAP benefits, even going so far as, after 2 federal judges said you are required by law to provide nutritional benefits to 42 million people, seniors, children, veterans across this country. What did Trump do? As he's throwing a great Gatsby party, not to be obliging to it, he said, let's go to the Supreme Court to see if we can avoid paying that. So I'm very satisfied with what we did. I am disappointed with the Senate. So satisfied after all of that. Others saying it was worth it. We'll talk about that. Keep your comments. Keep your waves coming in. Yes, we are going to just talk quickly about the shutdown. It ties up with some very interesting little tidbits. And then we've got a lot of New York State issues, which will probably be the lion's share of the 7 o'clock hour, because I see our program already is moving very quickly. Also in the 7 o'clock hour, speaking of New York issues, right in our backyard at the Arnett Mall Event Center, we're going to be talking with our buddies Kevin and Mike from Comic-Con, so you don't want to miss that. That'll be in the 7 o'clock hour. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Since 2013, Dallas City Insurance Services has been your hometown insurance provider. We're small enough to give you the attention you deserve, but large enough to provide you with access to the nation's top insurance companies. The staff at Valicenti Insurance Services will help you find the right plan for your individual needs, whether it's auto and home insurance, life insurance, health insurance, or business coverage. Valicenti Insurance Services, Water Street in Elmira. Visit us at valicentiins.com.
The Twin Tiers Comic-Con, November 15th and 16th at the Arnett Mall Event Center. Meet film and TV legend Ed Begley Jr., plus the voice of Pocahontas, the stars of Mallrats, and voice actors from Naruto, Kingdom Hearts, Street Fighter, and more. Veteran comic book creators and over 150 artists and vendors. Gaming events and costume contests with cash prizes. Free activities for kids, Q&A meet and greets, and so much more. Twin Tiers Comic-Con, veterans and kids 14 and under free. Tickets on sale now at twintierscomiccon.com.
Small businesses are the heart of America. Like you, these entrepreneurs started out with a dream and a drive to build a better life. If you have a small business idea to grow or challenge to face, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1964, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses. Today, they are the nation's largest nonprofit source of expert mentoring, resources, and education. Whether you're starting out, building back, or have worked at it for years, SCORE will match you with specialized mentors. Our thousands of volunteers provide the guidance and connections you need for free. Your success is waiting. SCORE is ready to help. Find a mentor today at SCORE.org.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Let's go to some viewer comments, shall we? I'm thinking if the mayor is meeting behind closed doors, perhaps he's being told the rules. Or maybe the grooming to higher offices, like governor. Well, great point. If you are just joining us, the story is that Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani, of course from New York City, meeting by, there's photos of it, so it's not that top secret, but meeting secretly with the Massachusetts senator. Mayor-elect meeting with a Massachusetts senator, but that senator happens to be Elizabeth Warren. So a lot of speculation about what could be discussed, probably tax the rich. But to your point, maybe getting ready for higher office. Isn't it interesting, though? They talk about needing a new generation. And yet you go to Elizabeth Warren, she's going to be the kingmaker. She's going to tell you what to do. Just kind of interesting. I think it's too early, in my opinion, for him to run for governor this time around, just because he has just won. That's a tough, I could be wrong. I could be eating crow in a week here. I think it'll be a hand-picked member, another young person in the Democrat Socialists of America that will primary challenge Hochul. I do think there will be. I think that's why Mamdani hasn't endorsed Hochul numerous times, even though Hochul says, oh, he's just waiting to hear from me when the time is right. Okay. Sure. Put words in his mouth. But that question at the mayoral debate, when they asked who would endorse Hochul, and he did not raise his hand, was very telling. Comment from a different viewer: I can't believe it is unlawful to arrest a criminal who has broken the law. Well, that is what that judge is saying in Chicago about ICE and these 615 or whatever illegal aliens that are being held that he has said must be released at this point. Okay. Comment from a different viewer: the Democrats are responsible for health care being unaffordable. It's called Obamacare. Do they think we are as stupid as they are? Well, that's the message they're trying to push, is that it's somehow Republicans' fault that health care is so expensive. A health care that they never wanted, that they never voted for. Obamacare, of course, voted on just by the Democrat Party in the dead of the night. What was it, like Christmas or New Year's? One of those weird things. And the subsidies were theirs. The subsidies they could have kept longer. None of that was done. And now somehow it's Republicans' fault. None of it makes sense. But yes, Democrats are saying it was all worth it. According to RNC, they tweeted out, disgusting. Democrat Senators John Hickenlooper and Jack Reed say the shutdown that put our most vulnerable at risk and deprived Americans of their paychecks and benefits for weeks was, quote, worth it. And to just cite, if you will, what the RNC tweeted out, when asked if the shutdown was worth it, Senator John Hickenlooper said, yeah, I think so. I hate it, but yeah, it was worth it, definitely. We got people to pay attention to the fact that this is a traumatic, in many cases, life or death situation for people all over the country. So you make them suffer, right? I'm confused. Jack Reed hesitated before concluding that, yes, it was worth it to him as well. I think it was, because I think the perception, we made it clear that it's not just a healthcare issue, but the whole issue. Democrats voted against reopening the government over a dozen times, as you know, all while placing the blame on Republicans who offered a clean, continuing resolution. House Speaker Mike Johnson repeatedly explained throughout the shutdown that Democrats' demands to reopen the government included billions in partisan spending, including $3.9 million for LGBTQ plus democracy grants in the Western Balkans. Johnson saying it's after 40 days of wandering in the wilderness and making the American people suffer needlessly. It appears to us this morning that our long national nightmare is finally coming to an end, and we're grateful for that. At least some Democrats now finally appear ready to do what Republicans and President Trump and millions of hardworking American people have been asking them to do for weeks. That was never right, shutting down the government. It never produces anything, the speaker added. Now, J.D. Vance, in his interview yesterday, making his first public remarks on the federal government officially reopening, he told Hannity that the shutdown inflicted massive pain on Americans, all for nothing. That's why the Democrats right now are having trouble spinning it and saying, yeah, it was worth it, because how do you justify it? How do you justify that long of a government shutdown with no wins? I mean, even their own party is saying no wins. That's why they're trying to spin it and saying, well, we did get people talking. So we're going to shut down the government now for 42, 43 days to get people talking? There's better ways to do that. J.D. Vance, the vice president of the United States, saying, here's what the Democrats actually accomplished. They caused a lot of stress for our troops. They made our air traffic controllers not get paid. They caused a lot of flight cancellations. They had a lot of people thinking they weren't going to get their food benefits, all for literally nothing. He says that the far left is willing to burn down the entire country, accusing them of prioritizing their energy on attacking President Trump. They don't care if the troops don't get paid. They don't care if you cause billions of dollars of lost productivity. They don't care if you shut down the airline industry. They don't care if they have to burn the entire country down in order to get Trump. And I think he's right on that. It is about getting Trump, but it's also that they have to prove to their far left base, the ones that are actively voting, that putting in people like Zohran Mamdani, They have to prove that they're face of the resistance. Because I have yet another example. And when they talk about the age of Democrats, what they're pointing to here is saying Chuck Schumer has got to go. We've heard it from fellow Democrats now at this point. You hear it from the media because he is not doing enough. He is not being the face of the resistance. Now, if you recall, it wasn't that many months ago, because Donald Trump has only been president for less than 11 months, second term, that, yeah, you forget that. You forget to say second term. But yes, it's only been 11 months. So it was only a few short months ago where Democrat constituents were calling their representatives and saying, you have to get bloody in the street. Remember that? You have to attack these ICE agents and get blood to get attention to this. So it's all about getting attention to the resistance, and that's what this was. That's my words, not the Vice President of the United States. Vance claimed the House deal that ended the shutdown was identical to one top Democrats rejected weeks earlier. That's exactly. We could have struck this exact deal 45 days ago. In fact, we met with Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and said, we will pass this exact deal, and they said no. I do give a lot of credit for the moderate Democrats in the Senate who were with us from the very beginning. Privately, the Democrats would recognize the position of their far left was crazy, but they all feel a little bit like they're being held hostage by their far left, and they are being held hostage, especially if they want to keep their jobs, because those on the far left seem to be the most passionate, the most aggressive, the most willing to go out and vote. And it is, again, I think it's amazing that the media, and I know I'll tell you a little bit more about J.D. Vance because I heard the Corning whistle go off, but it is amazing to me that reaching across the aisle is always praised by those in the media, always just the most amazing thing that can be done. Reaching across the aisle, the American people demand it, but that is only the case when it's a Republican reaching across the aisle. Have you ever noticed the coverage doesn't work the same? Look how many attacks Fetterman and some of these others have received for reaching across the aisle, for saying, let's get something done for the American people. But instead, they are attacked, vilified. And they're not as heroic as, let's say, a John McCain, who was given a nickname for reaching across the aisle and going against his party so often, Maverick, right? Not as praised if it's the other way around, if the shoe is on the other foot. But we have to take a break. Keep those waves, keep those comments coming in, and we'll be right back. Pardon me, with Frankly Speaking, here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
This is a Sue the Collector consumer alert. Hi, my name is Jared Johnson with SueTheCollector.com. Did you know that repossessions are on the rise in America? If your car, truck, or motorcycle has been repossessed by an agent that broke a lock, assaulted you, or trespassed on your private property, you have rights. Call us for a free case review at 1-877-BAD-REPO. You pay nothing unless we win money for you. Call me now.
Alcoholics Anonymous. For more information, visit aa.org.
Is this your mom?
Yes.
And that's your dad?
Nope.
I'm the father.
Even if you're the father, you're lying. My family does not like my boyfriend.
Solid family.
I've had enough of this. I'm not your mommy.
Now you're just talking crazy.
Don't do that. I'm not your auntie, I'm your mother.
Can't cross mama and come in here and get treated nice. Your case is dismissed, and so are you.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. A couple comments from viewers. That judge in Chicago has no authority. The Supreme Court has told them this time and time again. Trump just needs to ignore it while he appeals. Thank you very much. Comment from a different viewer. What about Hakeem Jeffries' days-long filibuster, all for nothing? Seems to be a trend with the Democrats. Well, Hakeem Jeffries had a long filibuster against the big, beautiful bill, but the biggest one, which isn't technically a filibuster, which, of course, was Cory Booker. His was the 25-hour, 5-minute filibuster, but that was, I think, very poetic example of kind of the Democrat Party in general, which was a lot of talk, a lot of bluster, a lot of hot air with absolutely nothing accomplished, because it wasn't filibustering anything. It wasn't stopping anything. It was just him giving a long speech, a rambling speech. But Cory Booker was the one that went on 25 hours. He was the senator that went on 25 hours and 5 minutes. Hakeem Jeffries gave a very long speech, a filibuster speech in the House. The way I remember, I think it was and I think that's just considered a speech in that instance, but against a big, beautiful bill. So thank you for that. But all of that was for nothing. All of the showmanship, because there was others at that time. Remember when we'd start the program and find out that somebody had been talking for something like 12 hours and their name didn't even sound familiar and you hadn't heard about it anywhere else? So that did become a common theme. Now, continuing with what J.D. Vance had to say about the government shutdown, he went on to praise Donald Trump's leadership during the 43-day standoff, saying that they knew this was going to happen. The President of the United States said every day, eventually, the Democrats are going to realize this was an absurd position. We've got to reopen the government, and that's what they did. So there we are. That's J.D. Vance's take on... He also argued, and this is important, that the shutdown effectively ended the career of Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, dubbing the 43-day ordeal politically stupid and a huge political mistake for Democrats. What an incredible juxtaposition of priorities. We care about Americans, they care about illegal aliens. That's been true for years. They made it super clear with this government shutdown fight. I do think, and your thoughts on it, I do think it is the end of Chuck Schumer's political career as we know it. Because here's an example, and I've got something John Kennedy said, and then we got a couple real quick things, and then we got to get to New York State issues. But from the New York Times, the far-left New York Times, age is the issue that Democrats can't shut down. A restless Democratic base is seething at older leaders in Washington. And I believe what this is specifically pointing to, there's other old leaders, but I think this is Chuck Schumer, who has effectively lost the debate. He can't, the first time around, he voted to keep the government open, and it outraged his base. This time, he thought, uh-oh, I better be a part of the resistance. And he failed at that as well in the leadership position. He could not keep his senators in check. It would be a much even bigger deal, even though they're calling for his ouster, if it were a Republican in that scenario. Actually, this is the quote I wanted to say quickly from Senator John Kennedy. He gave his thoughts on what he considers to be a divide in the Democrat Party. And this is what I'm talking about when we talk about the resistance. One impact of the shutdown, according to the senator from Louisiana, and if you've never watched his videos when he's at these hearings, they're hilarious, John Kennedy. He said, Senator Schumer gambled and he lost. He's kind of walking around looking like the guy who just lost his luggage. I think his, we'll say, guts are on back order from China. He said the fight, the power struggle in the Democrat Party is between what he called the Bolshevik wing of the party and the old guard politicians like Chuck Schumer, understanding the loons within his party, but he's scared of them, meaning Chuck Schumer sees those loons but is scared of them. The socialist wing of the party, according to Kennedy, is led by Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I've never heard anybody describe her as a policy maven. My experience with her is if you scratch the surface, you just got more surface. He's hilarious. He also proposed ideas to stop shutdowns in the future with no pay for members of Congress while the government isn't open. Another idea he suggested was ensuring that members of Congress stay within 100 miles of D.C. during a shutdown. If you do that, the shutdowns, if you have any, will be very short. Now, I can't pass the second provision, but I think I can pass the provision saying that none of us will get paid during a shutdown. I like that idea that they have to stay in Washington. That would drive them crazy because look how quickly they want to get out of there. Some people speculating why the shutdown ended. Everybody wanted to go home for Thanksgiving. But to his point, I know I'm running late, but to his point on the paychecks, for some people that would hurt, I suppose, in Congress. We talked about it before. So many people have gotten rich in Washington. I'm not sure how much that will hurt other than almost be symbolic. So there you are. Now, Kennedy said, the president called me last week. He's dug in like a tick on getting rid of the filibuster. I told him I kind of like the filibuster. I didn't when I came to the Senate, but a senator's job I have learned is not just to advance good ideas, it's to kill bad ideas. He went on to reflect on what he said were all the bad ideas proposed during Biden's time in office, saying that they would now be law if not for the filibuster. All right, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. Get ready to wrap up hour number 1.
I'm Marion Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Valicenti Advisory Services has been building long-term relationships in our community for over 35 years. We pride ourselves in the ability of our teams in wealth management and tax and business to work together to offer coordinated planning services for our clients. The mission of Valicenti Advisory Services is to provide specialized wealth management, tax, and business services to help clients meet their personal financial goals. Valicenti Advisory Services, Water Street in Elmira. Visit us at valicenti.com.
NFL coverage starts with Fox NFL Kickoff at 11.
This is great TV.
It is caught! Then it's Fox NFL Sunday at noon.
This kid has it all.
The best NFL pregame shows are back-to-back.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam. Brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Pardon me. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are... Sorry, I'm getting all these comments and articles in. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. All right, let's go to some viewer comments. Oh, yes. Senator John Kennedy also said AOC is the reason they put directions on the shampoo bottle. Yes, I remember him famously saying that. John Kennedy's hilarious. If you get a chance, if you haven't already, definitely watch some of his hearings in the Senate. But as I mentioned, if you look at it, age is the issue that Democrats can't shut down. The Democrat unity and good feelings after the party's big election victories last week ended in under a week. Now the knives are back out as 8 Democratic-aligned senators with an average age of about 70 voted with Republicans to end the 40-day government shutdown without the health care concessions that Democrats had demanded. The party again convulsed with 2 questions that have been racking its members. How old is too old, and how vigorously should they fight Republicans? And it goes in to talk about some of these people. But again, of the Democrat senators who voted for the shutdown deal, 2 are not running again. Dick Durbin of Illinois, 80. Jeanne Shaheen of New Hampshire, 78. Angus King of Maine is 81. And Jackie Rosen of Nevada is 68. Both Tim Kaine and Maggie Hazen are 67. Again, this is to point towards people like Schumer, who they believe aren't fighting the Republicans hard enough. So I believe Chuck Schumer I don't imagine he's in the leadership position much longer. And if he is, I know it's a ways off, but he better prepare for an AOC run or somebody else, because I don't think if he's going to run again, he's going to have some primary challenges. We had that piece earlier in the week that he's not doing his typical hitting every county in New York. He doesn't want Democrat protesters, his own party protesters at these events. But we'll take a short break. Wrapping up hour number 1, we're going to get to a couple quick hits at the beginning. Then we've got a lot of New York State issues, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Your tap water is delicious. I know, right? It's this Culligan Smart drinking water system. What do you think is going on in there?
I'm smelling a touch of chlorine.
Yeah, I'm detecting some PFAS.
I'm also getting notes of lead.
Perfection.
Sending it up.
Here we go.
Certified to reduce more than 70 contaminants. It's like having your own team of water experts. See the smart difference at Culligan.com.
Did you know that children growing up with poor air quality have smaller lungs and higher rates of asthma than children that grow up with good air quality? And unfortunately, poor communities have poor air quality. IQ Air Foundation is working to change this. Today, the IQ Air Foundation provides filtration technology to schools with poor air quality through our Clean Air for Kids program. Our goal is to help over 50,000 school children every year breathe over 90% cleaner air indoors, helping to level the playing field, reduce barriers to learning, reduce sick days, and increase test scores. Mitigating poor air quality is key to environmental justice. Help Clean Air for Kids reach more children at IQAirFoundation.org.
And welcome to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. We appreciate you joining us. If you are just joining us, you missed a lot already, but we're getting ready to talk about New York State issues. I got to go through a couple of quick non-New York State issues. And this comment from Mark. Mark writes in, I believe Chuck Schumer's glory days in politics are over, just like Nancy Pelosi. They are not up with the times and old school. And old school isn't working anymore. Yes, if you remember, Jon Stewart was even mocking Chuck Schumer about the idea that a strongly worded letter as he's reading it with his glasses on his nose, not helping the party. So I would agree that those days of Chuck Schumer being a powerhouse, if you will, long gone. All right, a couple quick things as they talk about age and maybe getting young people involved. Representative Eric Swalwell, which he's become kind of a mocked character by conservatives, he is weighing a decision to run for governor of California. Oh, he also said, by the way, keep this in mind about midterm elections. And I know Republicans kind of were sitting on the sidelines during the last election. And they're not, they're kind of gotten in that old term fat and happy. They got Trump in there. They got the majority. Well, it's better changed by the midterms because Eric Swalwell saying that if Democrats win the House majority, they will hold Trump officials accountable. This will be like we saw in Trump's first term. It'll be constant impeachments, constant hearings. I don't want to go through all of this, but about what he said. But a spoiler alert for you, there will be allegations next week against somebody that will be false. That's what this administration does, essentially, is what he's saying. And that's why being in the majority also matters, because these guys think that they can do this because they're invincible and there are no consequences. A year from now, we are going to win the majority. That's what we learned last Tuesday when California voters stood up against Donald Trump. When we're in the majority, we will have subpoena power and accountability will happen. So Bill Polt and any other lawless official who is carrying out these political prosecutions on behalf of Donald Trump, they should familiarize themselves with the Judiciary Committee room because they're going to be spending a lot of time there answering questions. I sure hope everything they did was above board. And that's what I mean. He's weird. He's an odd guy. He thinks he's really tough. We saw that in his hearing where he thought he had conservative commentator Ben Shapiro. That was awkward. Ben Shapiro made him look foolish. But Eric Swalwell is considering a run for California governor. Kind of a step down. At one point, he was running for president. Two anonymous sources close to the congressman told MSNBC that he has been considering a play for the Golden State's governor's mansion with a possible announcement as early as next week. Quote, Swalwell declined to comment when reached by MSNBC, but a source close to the congressman who asked to remain anonymous to discuss the private discussions says Swalwell allies had asked him to run to fill a fighter protector role in the mold of Gavin Newsom. Yeah, he thinks he's a fighter and protector. He doesn't have it. I'm not just saying that because of a Democrat-Republican thing. He just comes off so awkward so many times. Remember when he was pumping that iron and I think responding to Greg Gutfeld or something like that? He tries. You got to give him credit for trying. It doesn't work, but he tries. Should Swalwell throw his hat in the ring for governor, he will be up against former Representative Katie Porter, former Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra, former Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villarosa, and businessman Stephen Klubeck. All right. Also, and moving up in their position, I'm not going to say predicted this yesterday, but we told you about speculation that this would happen. Representative Jasmine Crockett, a rising star in the Democrat Party, who's given us so much to talk about through the year. She said she was considering a Senate run, this is in Texas, because she believed she could expand the electorate in Texas. Now, we know there's been reports of how kind of, what's the word I want to use? I don't want to say nasty, but that staffers don't have a very high opinion of her. She was that she can be mean, that she's only there occasionally, and then when she is, it's pretty angry at them. Also, we learned that she's kind of self-centered, right? And that was from that Atlantic piece. We also learned that there must be some kind of skeletons in her closet, meaning about her personality or about her handling of staffers, because she wanted to shut down that Atlantic article, which was a glowing article on her because she heard that they were interviewing some of her colleagues. So I guess she thought, which she couldn't do, she couldn't shut down the article, but she thought that they may say something she could not control the message on, I guess. She thinks she's very good at this kind of controlling the message, even saying it in this, to expand the electorate. She said, I am absolutely thinking about running for Senate. This again, Representative Jasmine Crockett. I'm hoping to have an answer within my inner circle, probably within the next week and a half or so. But I will tell you this. I will tell you that I completely understand those that are disappointed. I will tell you that on November 4th, we won in places that we weren't supposed to win. And whether we're looking at Georgia or whether we're looking at Mississippi or whether we're looking at different parts of Virginia, where now we're going to end up having a supermajority. I will also tell you that we have a poll that is currently in the field that went into the field on yesterday. I am waiting on those results. It's the first and only poll that I put out to be able to kind of understand where I really am. I don't want to rely just solely on third-party polls. Now, we learned she has been spending a lot of money going around the country, staying at these luxurious hotels. We talked about that earlier in the week. But again, who is it? Casey Hunt from CNN said, so basically you're polling yourself to try to make a decision about what you should do. She said, I'm polling to determine whether or not I can expand the electorate. I believe that I can, but if I can't, I can tell you for sure 100% that I will not run. So something to keep an eye on. All right, let's get to New York State issues, shall we? And yes, we will be talking to our good friends Mike and Kevin from Twin Tiers Comic-Con a little bit later on, which is happening this Saturday and Sunday. Yes, it kicks off tomorrow at the Arnott Mall Event Center. All right. You know, on this program, we made it a point from day one that it's about community. And think of how many guests we've had on in relationship to the community. Our buddies from Comic-Con talking about events in the community. We've had, as best as we can do, tried to have every politician that would want to come on the program, local, be on the program so that you could go into the booth better informed. We've tried to we have the Salvation Army Telethon, you name it. We're trying because that's always been the main goal of this program. That's why it's discouraging, because we know this, we feel this about New York State in general. The best states for community connection. This is by Smile Hub. We've quoted them in the past. They do these on a regular basis on different topics. So what are the most tight-knit states? Minnesota, Utah, Massachusetts, North Dakota, New Hampshire, Vermont, Nebraska, Connecticut, South Dakota, Pennsylvania, our neighbors in Pennsylvania in the top 10. New York not in the top 10. We're not even in the states that need improvement. The bottom 10, we are right in the middle. We are, it doesn't even give the number. We're not on the top 10 or the bottom 10. We are nowhere to be seen. Not a good sign when it talks about community. Now, I think when we look at our community and we look at our surrounding communities, this does not accurately reflect what we do as a community, but I do think we do have areas to improve on. But not making the top 10 list, but congratulations to our friends in Pennsylvania watching right now. Top 10 in the most tight-knit community states. Okay, also when we talk about New York, this is really interesting before we talk about Bruce Blakeman, which I really want to get your opinion on. In New York City, once proudly unwelcoming to guns, residents are arming up. Since June of 2022, when a landmark U.S. Supreme Court decision forced state lawmakers to relax long-standing restrictions, tens of thousands of New Yorkers have sought permits to carry concealed weapons outside their homes. The number of permit applications submitted per month has risen nearly tenfold in the past 3 years, according to the NYPD. The boom could portend a city where legally carrying a firearm becomes, as in most other parts of the country, commonplace. New York State requires every would-be gun carrier to go through a safety training course involving 16 hours of instruction, a written proficiency exam, and a live fire assessment. That's more training hours than any state but Maryland and Illinois require. But New York hasn't standardized the classes beyond outlining a handful of topics to touch on. As a result, a growing number of gun aficionados have stepped in to develop and run them. A person who passes a pair of National Rifle Association training courses can become a duly authorized instructor. I don't want to get into all this because it's coming from a New York City perspective, and people that probably have never been around legal guns. I tried to write about legal guns, but it is interesting to see that New York City, that the classes are filling up there as they put in their concealed carry applications. They surge. Not a surprise, especially after the election with someone that has pushed a socialist agenda. So very interesting. I thought that was coming from the city. All right. NASA, explain this to me. Do I want to go to break? No, I want to go to break because I want to get your opinion on Bruce Blakeman. We talked about him yesterday. Bruce Blakeman. Well, we'll give you the history. Again, I don't want to run late. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
There's a lot going on at all three Blaze Alexander Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram stores. Let's check them out. Look, someone in Mansfield's getting a new Jeep Wrangler. A Grand Cherokee in State College. And here in Lewisburg, a new Ram truck to tow all the toys. And don't forget, we have the lowest price guaranteed.
Having a safe home is essential to many aspects of our lives. From a sense of community and safety, to physical and mental health, to economic security and independence. Most homes in our communities are not accessible and are not designed to accommodate the changes that come with age, including the risk of falling. The Older Adults Home Modification Program helps reduce the risk of falls, improves safety, and increases accessibility and independence. Through this program, Rebuilding Together works with older adults to provide no-cost preventative home repairs so our neighbors can safely age in place in the homes and communities they love. To learn more, visit rebuildingtogether.org/safeathome.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. So many comments coming in. I don't think, let me look here. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to all of them. I didn't get a chance to read all of them, but let me try to do this here. Crockett, Jasmine Crockett, representative from Texas, who is considering a run for Senate. This viewer says, acts like a vindictive, angry wannabe queen who is mean and full of hot air, as well as being delusional. The Atlantic tried to write such a glowing piece on her, and she did come off that way, all because it was an unforced error on her part. Yeah, I don't know if she's ready for that level to even campaign in the Senate. Did you see when she was even called out on the issue of Epstein? I forgot to even mention this. She got fact-checked by CNN because she was pushing a lie, and she did not handle it well. If you've not seen the video, Jasmine Crockett got put in her place on far-left CNN after she falsely tried to blame Republicans for redacting the name of one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims in a newly released email. The email in question was part of that 23,000 pages of documents from the convicted pedophile's estate released by Republicans on the House Oversight Committee this week, after Democrats published a smaller batch in which they chose to redact the name of deceased victim Virginia Giuffre. And a lot of people are calling it for what it is. They released about 3 emails when Republicans released 23,000 pages. They redacted this name to try to make it look more nefarious than it actually was, to make it, because that Virginia Giuffre has always said from the beginning Trump never did anything inappropriate. Crockett said on Wolf Blitzer's show, "The fact that Trump does not want these files to be out to me says he has more to hide than him actually being able to exonerate himself." So anchor Pamela Brown then produced the email and pointed out that Giuffre, who died by suicide in April, wrote in her posthumously published memoir that Trump had no hand in the disgraced financer's wrongdoing. Crockett said, "Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, it's redacted who the victim is, so I don't necessarily take the Republicans' word on who it is that's redacted. And I don't know why they would necessarily redact someone's name who is deceased at this point." She been following this at all? Brown quickly corrected Jasmine Crockett, reminding her that Democrats did that, though. It was the Democrats who did that. A visibly rattled Crockett stammered through an attempt to walk back her false assertion and quickly changed the subject. The Democrats were, no, I understand, but just saying, like, our biggest concern is to actually make sure we are protecting victims. And obviously she wrote a book. She told her truth. That was her answer. Anyway, I don't want to talk anymore about her. Coming from a different viewer, is there a single Democrat that has introduced any meaningful legislation to MAGA? Oh, to Make America Great Again. I see what you're saying, not just the movement. No, just the usual hate. Not much of a platform if you're going to run for office. Yes, it's been basically anti-Trump, anger, no real substance, hence the shutdown. What was the substance there? What were we? They were shutting down the government for something they could continue to debate until the end of the year, causing that pain and harm on the American people, and ended up with nothing. All right, comment from a different viewer. If the older Democrat leaders are actually trying to lead the country instead of trying to destroy Trump for the last 10 years, they might have been able to retire with a little dignity. Oh, good point. Unfortunately, these new younger ones are even crazier than the old ones. Yeah. That's a good point. They would maybe have gone out on top instead of going out as... I mean, look at when Nancy Pelosi said she was going to retire. One of the pictures that they used was her ripping up the State of the Union. I mean, that's going to be her legacy. Anyway, comment from a different viewer. You can't be an NRA instructor with a couple of courses. It's a lot more complicated than that. Hence the reason why I stopped reading the article and said it was an article written by people in the city that didn't quite understand. So yes, I understand that. I understand your point. Thank you for bringing it up. But that's when I started to realize it was no longer necessary to read the article. Just the fact that there are more people going for the concealed carry in New York City, which I thought was interesting. Speaking of New York issues. So Bruce Blakeman, and you probably don't know the name, or if you do, it's because we've been talking about him for the last couple of days, maybe even a week now. He won his executive race in Nassau County. Okay, good. This whole time, his name was kind of thrown around as maybe a gubernatorial candidate, but it was always kind of prefaced by saying, well, if Elise Stefanik decides after all this time that she's not going to run, then Bruce Blakeman's going to kind of be the person probably. Well, instead of realizing Elise Stefanik declared and that she's the clear favorite, Bruce Blakeman, feeling that he has some type of energy in Nassau County anyway, where he's probably surrounded by yes people because he won his executive race, now is kind of trying to be a fly in the ointment and going around and thinking of the idea of running for governor. Now, you know what that would do for our chances. It would hurt. It makes you wonder, especially when you see the polls, how Stefanik would destroy him. It makes you wonder what his motives are for this, because it doesn't make him friends in the Republican Party. And full disclosure, I don't know Mr. Blakeman. He may have been at some political event I've been to, or I don't even know. I mean, I'm not overly familiar with him at all. I just knew his name was being thrown around at one time, like Mike Lawler's was, but Lawler stepped aside and Blakeman was running his executive race. So it was all thought. And then Stefanik receives the endorsement of how many executives? We talked about Chris Moss, who did a great one. How many congressmen, how many county chairs. And yet Blakeman has decided he was going to take this tour around upstate New York. Now he's blasting the state GOP bosses and comparing this to a Kamala Harris-style coronation. Why go in this direction? Why? There's got to be a reason, and it's almost a closed-door thing. You want to know why he wants to kind of bloody up the Republican Party, bloody up in the political terms, of course. The Republican Party, bloody up Elise Stefanik. Now, Elise Stefanik, I'm sure, doesn't have a care in the world. She destroyed him in the primary, but we don't want to spend time with Republicans fighting other Republicans, just like the Democrats don't want to spend time with other Democrats fighting each other. They want to be singularly focused on the ultimate win, which is a general election win. And you don't want to waste some money that a primary would take when you need that for the general election. Blakeman, who's eyeing a run for the nomination, had harsh words for Republican Party Chairman Ed Cox, who threw his full support behind Elise Stefanik as she launched her campaign. Blakeman said about Ed Cox, now we can all have our concerns with Ed Cox. He may be the reason why Donald Trump, and this is ultimately a good thing, but why Donald Trump didn't become governor of New York, where he ultimately ran for president, because it looked like he was going to run for governor at one point until Ed Cox got someone else in there to primary him again, because no one wants to do this on a primary because it's already an uphill battle for a Republican in New York. But you can have your problems with Ed Cox overall. It's claim to fame, being Richard Nixon's son-in-law. But this is what he said, Blakeman said about it. I don't know who appointed him the king of the Republican Party. This was as he was speaking in Massapequa at the American Legion. But I can tell you this, we are not going to have a coronation like they had for Kamala Harris in the Democrat Party. That's not what the Republican Party's about. Why go this direction? Now, if you look, where is this? Cox had praised Stefanik in a statement after she announced she was going to run. There will not be a Republican primary in a year from now. Elise will lead our team to victory over Kathy Hochul, end of one-party rule, Democrat rule, and make New York affordable again. That's what Ed Cox said. But Blakeman, fresh off a commanding re-election win on Long Island, insisted competition is good. It's not New York. You would hope. First of all, if you had just voted for him for executive and you already said, oh, thank you, I'm moving on to a different job, wouldn't you be a little upset? I know I would if you helped his campaign, if you helped him. So you literally haven't even been sworn in for your new term and you're already looking for a different job. Maybe there shouldn't have been a coronation of him. Was there a primary there? There may have been. I don't know the answer to that, but maybe there should have been a primary in that executive race. He said, I think we have to have competition. We have to see who the best candidate is. And if it's somebody else, that's great. I'm fine. I can live with that. But we shouldn't coronate somebody. We should see who's the best and strongest candidate to win and beat Kathy Hochul. And a lot of people are telling me it's me. Why? And this is not to insult Mr. Blakeman. Why? Why are we doing this? What does he stand to gain from doing this? He wants to be governor that bad and quit the job he just got elected to? This one, I got to say, this one blows my mind. But I realize I'm running late. We'll tell you what at least Stefanik's people said, though, before we go to break. County Executive Blakeman has earned widespread respect. County Executive Blakeman has earned widespread respect for his strong leadership on Long Island. Elise Stefanik announced her candidacy along with the endorsement of an overwhelming majority of county chairs around the state. We have every expectation that she will be our candidate. We will avoid a primary and we will defeat Kathy Hochul a year from now, giving New Yorkers new leadership that prioritizes affordability and economic opportunity. Stefanik's spokesperson said on day one the Congresswoman earned over 70% of the weighted vote of GOP county chairs and the support of the Conservative Party. It is unfortunate that this prospective candidate is already attacking Republican county chairs and state officials across New York when they are more unified than ever in the mission to fire Hochul. That's what I don't understand. Elise is the only candidate in the race who has ever won every primary and general election, and she has done so by unifying Republicans, Independents, and Democrats with the highest voter turnout in the state. Her support is only going to continue to climb. Elise already is the most well-funded candidate and the highest polling candidate in history, and that will continue to climb, and everyone knows it. That's why I don't understand, unless it's an ego trip, I don't understand why he's doing this. All right, we have to take a short break because We have our good friends from Comic-Con coming up next. I know I'm going to be running late on this program, but please keep your comments coming in. We'd love to hear from you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
William Matar has a reputation for being a good guy.
Because I am a good guy.
For being focused on motor vehicle accident cases.
Because I focus on motor vehicle accidents.
For fighting for his clients.
Because I fight for my clients.
If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident, it matters who you hire. It matters in the experience as well as the results. Call William Matar. Visit WilliamMatar.com.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/BigFoxNews.
You can just keep watching and scrolling, and the world will still feel like it's falling apart.
Widespread missile attack.
Highest hospitalization. Also evacuation for the Western forced labor.
Or you can take action by joining a movement that's creating a real and lasting change instead. Partnering with communities around the globe to help uproot poverty and plant seeds of hope for a brighter tomorrow. Because at World Vision, we believe that no situation is hopeless. Join a movement that's changing the world for good.
In a few words, Urkel, glasses, nerd. It pays to know your nerds. If you guys didn't get nerd with me sitting up here on this show, 25 words or less.
Weeknights at 5 and 5.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Orseds. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio. Full disclaimer, in that studio, you might hear beeping in the background because they're putting up Christmas lights. But also in that studio, we have the guys from Comic-Con. Welcome back.
Hello. Thank you.
Wow, this is it. This is it. Yeah, so I wouldn't even ask, are you ready? Because if you're not at this point, it's too late, right? Yeah.
Can one ever be truly ready for these sorts of things?
I'm not sure we've ever made it all the way there.
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me say thank you, because I know you are really busy, so I'm glad you could pop back into the studio to talk about it. Since the last time we talked, how's all the planning actually going?
Go ahead. It's actually going really well. We got some early access into the floor, so we've pretty much set. I feel like we're really in good position right now, in good shape this week. So knock on wood that there's no calamities befall us. But yeah, so we're excited to kind of fine tune things a little bit and be able to maybe do and explore other prep things and set up things that we don't normally get to really have time to do.
It's hard to believe that it's already here. Saturday and Sunday at the Arnett Mall Event Center, Comic-Con. You see the you see the website at the bottom of the screen. So let's kind of go back to some of the basics that maybe we haven't covered because we've talked so many times. When someone purchases a ticket, what actually comes with the ticket?
Yeah, so we have. So we try to do as much as possible included in your ticket price, so you can have 2 days of entertainment, without having to spend any more money. One of the things we do is panel Q&As. So on Saturday we'll have a panel with Ed Begley Jr.
Oh, cool.
At 1 o'clock. At 2 o'clock we'll have a panel with Irene Bedard, who's Pocahontas. At 3 o'clock we're doing the Mallrats 30th anniversary panel with Jeremy London and Ray Humphrey. And then at 4 o'clock we have our cosplay contest that we do every year with it's free to enter and $1,000 in cash prizes over 6 winning categories.
Wow.
So Saturday the panel room is going most of the day. with a bunch of activities that are all free to.
Well, what is like a panel? You know, if I'm going in and I'm going to watch Ed Begley Jr., what's he talking about? Like his career? Am I asking questions?
Yeah, a little bit. Usually the panels are moderated. I'll be moderating Ed's panel, and then we have our kind of a local podcast group, Older and Dumber, that's going to be moderating some of the other panels. It's basically Q&A style. It's if anybody has a question, you know, we'll call on people. If there's kind of, you know, a lull, I'll usually feed the conversation a little bit, or whoever's moderating the panel will feed the conversation a little bit. But yeah, it kind of gives you that opportunity to directly ask a question to an actor or a voice actor.
I'm kind of shocked because you do offer so much, and there's so many fun things to purchase and like that, but there's so many free activities like you're mentioning. I mean, just the board games, for instance. I don't think we've ever even talked about that.
Yeah, we have a huge board gaming area where there's a bunch of tables out for people to free play different board games. You can try new ones out. There's board game demos from people who've made their own games. There's a little area for LARPing, which is like live action role playing. You can kind of learn how to do that and play around with that a little bit. So it's a very large area with a bunch of free stuff to do over there.
I think I joked last time, but you're starting to take over the whole mall, right? It's growing so much. You're like an invasive weed.
Yeah, yeah. We've altered a little bit. Where this year we were going to have the video game tournament kind of near the event center, and now it's going to be kind of down the mall concourse a little bit in Checkpoint Gaming Lounge in Center Court. So that's kind of a natural fit for it. Yeah. But they usually have about 60 or 80 different players in there doing Super Smash Brothers Ultimate or Smash Brothers Melee tournaments all day Saturday.
Yep, and our panel room is in a mall storefront.
Okay.
So that'll be out in the mall. Also, one of the free events we do is our RML Pokemon Hunt, which is actually accessible even if you are not a ticket holder to the show. We set that table up outside of the event center, and anybody who's at the mall, if they want to participate, you just go up to the table, you get the instruction sheet, you go all around the mall, you try to find all the Pokemon, you get entered in to win some prizes.
Yeah. Win some prizes even if you don't go to the show. That's interesting.
So,
and I know I've mentioned this every single year, but really, you could fill up 2 days pretty easily and still not get through everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you really offer a lot of bang for your buck.
I mean, even if you're just shopping around at different vendors and artists and things like that, and getting commissioned sketches from artists and things like that, it's just it could take 2 days just doing that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
over 150 different artists and vendors.
Yeah, and if you look at the Makerverse this year, where those folks are going to be providing free lessons to learn how to do all sorts of crafting, jewelry making, sewing, all that. We're going to have 10 different basically stations set up where people are going to be teaching some skills to the kids 14 and under. A lot of them will teach skills to anybody that want to learn.
And then our Streamerverse as well with our podcasters and content creators, Twitch streamers, YouTubers, things like that. And it's just, if you have any questions about anything like that, if you're always wanted to get into streaming, you don't know how to start or having a YouTube channel, they're perfectly okay to go up to them and kind of pick their brain about it.
Yeah, and this year being the first one, we're going to do a little stamp passport. So if you grab one of those and you go to each streamer and meet them, talk to them, perform a little task, you bring it over. We're doing giveaways all weekend for a bunch of different stuff.
You give a lot of things away, though, too, right?
Yeah.
We want to make it worth the ticket price, just because, we don't want people to feel like it's just like a trade show or like a craft fair or something. It's like, no, we have so many things going on. We're going to have free play video game booths. I think Retro Game Con is going to be there. They're up in Syracuse, and they're going to be set up at our show as well with like a little video game area. And there's going to be a whole bunch. We've actually got Ludosport too. I don't think we talked about them
Finger
either.
Lakes Ludosport will be there, and they do demos and lessons on the Ludosport activities that they provide, which is the Lightsaber Academy.
Yeah.
It's like,
so they'll be there.
It's like fencing with lightsabers. Kind of fencing training with lightsabers in a way. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about pricing, too, because we're coming off the heels of Veterans Day, and I know that you've always made it a very important point to offer free admission for those that were served in our military.
Served and currently serving.
Yep.
Veterans and active duty.
And kids?
Yes, kids 14 and under are free as well. And we've actually gotten a lot of different questions about that, about kind of how that works. And, if you have, 2 adults and one of them was in the service or is currently, and they have 3 kids, it's like you basically have to pay for one adult ticket for the other parent, and then everyone else gets in for free.
Okay. So. And now I'm not really familiar with this, and I know we haven't talked about it in the past. The kids VIP. Because we talked about the adults VIP last time, so let's talk about the kids VIP.
Yeah, so this year we had 3 different prints created for our kids VIP.
Okay.
We've got one of them Kevin can show us
Yes,
here.
one of them.
Right, this is my favorite part of the show.
We actually, well, I guess we did reveal this one online, didn't we?
Yeah, K-pop.
So we have 2 other ones. So we have a print that's a Spider-Man print, and then we also have a kind of Calvin and Hobbes / homage to like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, cool.
So it's like little turtles would look like Calvin and Hobbes. And then we have the K-pop Demon Hunters print, which is also going in the regular VIP as well as the kids VIP.
Oh, that's really cool.
And also in it we have an exclusive Pokemon hunt that will take place on the event center floor that only the kids VIPs can participate with, which comes with once they finish it, they get a mystery custom pack of Pokemon cards, and all of them are guaranteed to have a good card in there that they like. And we've got
a little surprised. I don't even think we announced that yet.
Yeah.
Every kid's VIP is going to come with a pack of cards.
Just went out yesterday.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then they're going to have a coupon for a free retro print, so they'll get to choose one of our old prints from over the last 10 or so years that we've got. They'll get to pick one from our merch booth, and there'll be some other swag in there, toys, things like that.
Because it is perfect for kids.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when you think about it, just the event itself sounds like so much fun.
And it has the additional perk that the regular VIPs have, where you can get it a half hour early. So
and we let the parents come in. So so they don't have to have a VIP. If the kids have a VIP, they can come in early with the kids.
Yeah.
So
and likewise as well, if a parent buys a regular VIP, they get in early. If their kid gets in for free, you don't have to leave your child outside for a half hour.
Yeah, you're not trying to hurt anybody. That's the point. You're not trying to hurt anybody.
No, Billy, you can't come in yet. Dad's going to be in.
Wait in the car. So I know you have a lot going on, but you got some more artwork for us, or?
Sure. Yeah, we have prints that I don't think we've revealed yet. Well, this one we have. This is also going in the regular VIP. This is Superman and Crypto from Ed Yancey.
That's really cool.
The K-pop Demon Hunters print. This was drawn by Ethan Young and colored by Emily Swan. So that's also in the regular VIP.
It's in both, yeah.
And then we have our jam piece, which is, I believe, 6 artists worked on this.
Wow.
And it was kind of compiled. Each artist did a different character, and then they were combined and colored. And this is the first one I've printed, so we haven't even announced this one yet, so this is an exclusive.
Yeah. Now, how do people get those? Like, does that come as part of the deal, or do you buy these, or?
So that's part of the VIP, and then if we have extras, then we will sell them at our merch table.
Okay.
Usually a limited amount, and the artists that work on these also get copies. So, like, say if you go to Ethan or Emily's booth, they will have a few of those for sale as well. But probably super limited, maybe 10 or 20 at each table. So once they're gone, they're gone.
They're gone.
I mean, maybe I'll print another one during the show. We'll see.
You're already changing your mind.
Yeah.
So let's go back again, kind of to the basics. If someone's never attended, what should they know before they attend on Saturday or Sunday, or both days?
Sure, that's a great question. I guess there's probably going to be a line if you're getting in early. That's usually the case. So prepare for that, especially if it's chilly out, because we actually have, I don't know if we mentioned this last time, we actually have 2 ticket entrances.
Oh, no.
So the Mall Event Center has the parking lot entrance where you can kind of hang out outside or in like the little vestibule area. But we also have the indoor entrance. So if you go into the mall, you can actually wait inside the mall just in case it's a little chilly in the morning, or I believe Sunday morning it might be a little rainy, so that might be a good idea for some folks too. So
yeah, we don't have limits on bags, but we do check them upon entry for weapons. So people should be aware we're going to check your bags.
Okay.
If you're coming in cosplay, we're going to check your props. Anybody coming in with any cosplay weapon props, we check them to make sure they're not real, they're not dangerous. We tag them. So
that must take a little while.
It does. So we have a couple people at each entrance that handle that, and we kind of try to get them off to the side so it doesn't clog up the entry exits. But yeah, we have to check everybody as they come in.
What would you say the ratio is to people that just come in their normal street clothes and actually dress up as cosplay?
Good question. I mean, I think a lot of people think it's like everyone in cosplay. It's really not. I would say. You might have maybe 20%.
It's a good chunk for sure.
It is.
I know that there are definitely times where there are people there in costumes and I just never even see it. I'll see pictures of it online later.
Yeah.
I'm like, where was that? Like, that looks really cool. Like, I missed that completely. But yeah, I would say probably good.
Probably a good 20% do some sort of cosplay, and then you have some, a smaller percentage that are like really good at the cosplay stuff, and those are the ones that you see.
They've been taking time and spending some time on it.
Yeah.
So,
Do they go to other Comic-Cons probably with that kind of level,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
Not one and done.
Yeah, and then Sunday we'll have tons of kids in costumes too, because we're doing the kids costume, the cosplay parade. So we're actually going to be parading the kids through the mall, almost like a trick-or-treat style parade.
It's wonderful. So can people still buy tickets online at the door? What would you recommend?
Yes, I was going to mention that. So right now, pre-sale tickets are available online on twintierscomiccon.com. They are going to be available at the door, either cash charge, whatever, and but they will be pretty much across the board $5 more expensive at the door. So it's kind of giving the incentive to buy early.
To go online.
We are almost sold out of our regular VIPs. Yes. Not too many of those left. We do have some kids VIPs left, so there's a little bit more availability there.
We usually only put 100 up for sale, and we are at 116 right now because I added like 25 more. So
okay. Yeah,
so we're almost sold out twice on the VIPs.
Wow. That's impressive. That's impressive. So I know I ask this every time, but we'll wrap up this way. What are you looking forward to the most?
I'll let you go first.
This is the point in the process where I'm very much looking forward to the day after.
Sure.
The nap. But no, I'm actually I'm really excited for Saturday.
Yeah.
That Saturday morning, 11 to 1, like where it gets real busy.
Taking it all in.
Like I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
I think you stole my answer from last time. No, I think one of the things, that for sure, I'm kind of looking forward to the kids cosplay parade. I think that's going to be pretty fun.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see everybody's costumes, especially for the adult costume, for the adult cosplay contest on Saturday, and then the parade on Sunday. I'm looking forward to that. Another thing that I'm looking forward to is just when everybody starts showing up, like the artists and guests and everything, they're starting to load in like on Friday.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is people I haven't seen in a year, so it's going to be really cool to see them again.
To catch up with everybody.
Yeah.
And how long does it take you to, when it's over, to like clean up and get all, because you joked the day after. Are you done by the day after?
So I'm back to work the day after, and then we'll probably have to go back down to do some cleanup. Yeah, no. So we clean up on Sunday night for several hours, and then we're usually back Monday doing some more.
Last minute.
I think we were still there maybe Tuesday or Wednesday last year.
Might be. Yeah. I think also because we knew we had the runway, the mall was giving us the runway to clean up, so we didn't have to rush. But yeah, we usually get the majority of it cleaned up, I think, on Sunday, and Monday is just kind of like moving things back to storage and stuff like that. So
well, as Twin Tiers Comic-Con, hard to believe it's already that time. It's this Saturday, this Sunday at the Arnett Mall Event Center. Guys, take it all in. There's the poster. Take it all in and enjoy, because I know you've worked very hard on it. And best of luck, and we'll see you next year.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Frank.
All right. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is the start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Dear Savvy, who says you can't have it all? You've got the tech. You've got the drive. And now you've got Toyota value.
Grab Black Friday savings today. Lease Corolla for $179 a month or Camry for $289 a month. Now until December 1st. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
When you're in the area, you reach a point in your career where you've traveled enough, and that was our situation, and we were ready to retire from the military, and we found a house here that we felt be a great environment for our children to grow up in. The process is, I would say, fairly easy. I've done it 3 times now, so I'm a repeat customer, and my message to veterans, active duty, retired, is that really seriously look at the VA Home Loan Program. It has been transformational to my family, because we were wanting to look for a home here in the DC area that we could settle down in, and building equity in the home is a big part of the program.
Home for me
is family. It's a place where you know your neighborhood, you know your neighbors. It's not just the house, it's really what's around that makes it home.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Thank you to our friends from Comic-Con. If you attend this weekend, I'd love to hear about all the fun that you had. I'd also love to see some pictures. Send them in my way to that number on the bottom of the screen, or at frank at WYDCTV.com. All right, let's go to some viewer comments, because we were getting heated there before we went to break talking about Bruce Blakeman, who says that the governor's race on the Republican ticket should not be a coronation like Kamala Harris, and that he's exploring a run against Stefanik, which would be a mess. So we'll talk about what some of you had to say about that. But first, from a viewer, given the quality of the prints, this is in reference to Comic-Con, if done with an offset printer, looks like Kevin is a very talented printer. My first job was repairing copy machines and offset printers, and so I am and was very familiar with multicolor printing. Well, I'll pass along those kind words to Kevin. I'm sure he'll be glad to hear it. So thank you for that. That was a kind of neat takeaway from that interview. All right, comments from different viewers. It looks like Blakeman is trying to get a job as a CNN contributor. He's sounding like Liz Cheney. Ooh. This is in reference to Bruce Blakeman potentially running against Stefanik. Comment from a different viewer. We need a deep dive on Blakeman. Who is funding him? Who pulls the strings behind him? What's his real record? Thank you. Ken writes in and says, I have always believed that part of the reason people decide to get into politics on either side of the aisle is the opportunity to greatly enrich themselves. This is also true about the kingmakers. They want to enrich themselves, but prefer to be on the sidelines, whispering directions to their candidates or to others in the benefit of their candidate. It is very possible that the people whispering in Blakeman's ears are Democrats that want to entice him into running knowing he can't win just to ruin the Stefanik chance. I know this sounds like conspiracy theory rhetoric, but you have to admit there's a lot of underhanded shenanigans that go hand in hand with politics. Very peculiar that he would start seriously thinking about running immediately after Stefanik announced her candidacy. I agree, Ken. The idea that he announced after she announced, which hers was a late announcement. People wanted it done way before this. To announce that he's exploring a run after she decides raises a lot of questions more than it gives us answers. And again, I've got to say, if I live in Nassau County, I'm going to be outraged that I just voted for somebody who was going to take this job and do the best job he could, and then said, nah, I never mind. I know I'm not sworn in for my second term. I'm good. I'm going to look for something else. Comment from a different viewer. Didn't I see something about Pelosi Jr. running for some office? I didn't watch it because I even turn off Fox whenever a Democrat, excluding Fetterman is on. However, what struck me is I grabbed the remote to change the channel was that in a brief moment, I thought I was looking at Pelosi Sr. Yes, Nancy Pelosi's daughter is running, but she's running for state senator. Not the senator of the state, California state senator. So a lot of people had speculated that she may run for her mother's seat. She is not. She's taking a step lower, obviously, in the sense of the political realm for California state senator. Okay, comment from a different viewer. Regarding Blakeman, I agree with you. Plain, simple ego and photo op. It seems I need to know more about this. Thank you for that. And finally, maybe warn viewers that tomorrow is deer and bear gun season. It begins tomorrow, yes. So if you are walking in the woods, you should have orange on. And good luck to you. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. If you go out, good luck to you. And if anybody, as I mentioned, pictures from Comic-Con, if you go out and have success, send them in my way. I'd love to see them. And you can tell me all about your exciting day of deer and or bear hunting tomorrow. And, by the way, the season is the 15th, November 15th, until December 7th. So good luck to all of you out there. Okay, we talked about Hochul postponing the gas stove ban yesterday. And it's got both sides outraged. First, I've got a quote from Phil Palmisano on it. But before I talk what Phil had to say, I get this email. I don't know how I got on these years ago. But this was from a group called New Yorkers for Clean Power. Wait till you hear this. This is going to make you laugh. Hochul delayed the all-electric buildings law through a stipulation filed with an Albany district court. This morning, elected officials, including New York City Comptroller Brad Lander and All Electric Buildings law sponsor, Assemblymember Emily Gallagher, joined with advocates and building experts at a press conference. Now, what this boils down to is what they're saying is that you're going to end up paying more because of this ban. Yes, it would have been cheaper, so much cheaper for you if you had to, when building your house, go all electric and buy all electric equipment. Ask that to anybody that's been receiving their electric bill, even if they're not 100% electric. But if you know anybody that did fully switch to electric, ask them how that's going. And never mind the fact the grid is not there. I am disgusted, said Assemblymember Emily Gallagher, one of the co-sponsors of the bill. Actual sponsor of the bill. I'm disgusted to learn about Governor Hochul's indefinite delay of the All Electric Buildings Act. It is enraging but not surprising, given the governor reversed course on a toxic gas pipeline, cryptocurrency mining, and now the All Electric Buildings Act in the last week alone. Study after study has shown that all electric new buildings will dramatically reduce utility costs, improve health outcomes, and help New Yorkers reach our ambitious but urgent climate goals. Instead, Governor Hochul is rapidly becoming the most anti-climate leader this state has seen in decades. I urge her to do the right thing and reverse this decision immediately. There's so many others I could quote. We're not going to. There's different groups and activist groups. I just thought, wow. She's trying to play the middle. She's not very good at this, but trying to play the middle because she's got an election coming up, and she is concerned about Elise Stefanik. So she's trying, knowing that those costs would be absorbent for people in an election year. She is trying to get this delayed. It is, and there's actually a piece about this at the New York Post that we're going to get to in just a moment. But Phil Palmisano, I want to make sure that we get to his quote on this before we get to that article. Something Phil Palmisano, who's been leading the way in this, said, I am grateful that the state has temporarily come to its senses and has agreed to delay the implementation of the All Electric Buildings Act, which was set to take effect in January of 2026. The act, which bans all new construction from having natural gas hookups, was flawed and dangerous from the word go. A few months ago, I traveled the state to warn about the state's radical energy policies and to let people know about the lack of affordability, reliability, feasibility, and energy choice in the state energy policies being advocated by the governor and Democrats in Albany. There is no doubt in my mind that if this law is allowed to be implemented, it will result in higher costs for new home and building construction, continued skyrocketing electric bills, loss of good-paying jobs, and a dangerous jeopardization of the reliability of our state's energy grid. All this while doing nothing to meaningfully make an impact on global emissions, as New York only contributes 0.4% of global emissions, while China contributes 30%, has 1,000 coal plants and is building more every week. And while the fight to end New York's Green New Deal is not over, we can take a temporary sigh of relief knowing this particular part of it will not be implemented at this time. Now, I know you are aware by now, but Assemblyman Phil Palmisano is the ranking minority member on the Energy Committee. So yes, this is what the Post is reporting, that Governor Hochul is getting cooked for placing her Green New Deal on the back burner. We're going to wrap up the show with that. Get your last second comments in and stay with us. Hard to believe how quickly this show went. I'd love to hear your last minute thoughts on Bruce Blakeman as well. Stay with us.
Hesselson's is more than just your local hot tub and swimming pool store. Did you know Hesselson's carries Oakley, Costa, and Maui Jim sunglasses? Hesselson's also carries Luminox watches certified by the U.S. Navy SEALs. Hesselson's has the new all-in-one Metal Ridge wallets, easy to carry and easy to use. Hesselson's also carries card accessories, suspenders, leather belts, wallets, and dog toys. Hesselson's also has over 400 styles of men's and ladies' work and western boots and hikers. Stop in today and see why after 70 years it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Sophia A., grade 4, absent, because transportation was absent.
Julio M., grade 6, absent, because Wi-Fi was absent.
Maria J., grade 12, absent, because childcare for siblings was absent.
Jacob O., grade 12, absent,
because housing was absent.
Aisha S.,
Olivia H.,
Darren L.,
Cole W.,
Preston L., absent,
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 because healthcare,
anti-bullying, mental health support was absent.
We're calling roll on the 15 million absent students.
Their reasons why are very real.
And yet the solution is a present, caring adult to help them along their path.
When communities and schools is present, 99% of our students are present and ready to learn.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back wrapping up today's edition of Frankly Speaking. A couple comments from viewers. Cheaper because the all-electric mandate might be killed. Sounds like the punchline of a joke, and further sounds like it's coming from the mouth of someone with a vested interest in going all-electric. Yes, they said it would be cheaper if you went all-electric. And Kathy Hochul is getting attacked from both sides. A comment from a different viewer. If you remember, we went down that all-electric road years ago. The price of electric soared, and everyone ran from electric. Thank you very much. So, yes, she is receiving pushback from environmentalists. But Elise Stefanik had this to say. Elise Stefanik challenging Hochul as of right now, the only challenger officially in the race. She said Kathy Hochul, well, on the Republican side, Kathy Hochul is lying to New Yorkers, excuse me. She wants them to believe there will not be a gas stove ban and an all-electric mandate policies that will absolutely crush New York's economy and cause a skyrocketing of prices, further worsening the affordability crisis. This is a cynical political pause so she can get New Yorkers with higher prices after the election. Just like congestion pricing, when Hochul lied to voters before the election and then immediately raised taxes on workers and commuters, she thinks New Yorkers are stupid and won't notice this desperate political ploy, adding that gas stove ban should be fully repealed. So that's Elise Stefanik. Comment from a different viewer. This is my bills in Pennsylvania. Last month, electric bill, $213.70. Gas bill, $65.83. Glad I'm in Pennsylvania. Thank you, viewer. Comment from a different viewer. Can Joker possibly be that out of touch? Thank you. I think Joker means Hochul. I'm not sure if that was an autocorrect on purpose or not. Finally, I mentioned this and got so much talk earlier in the morning, but Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani did hold a secretive meeting with Elizabeth Warren where someone took a photo of it and then they had to close the blinds. But they took a picture together and Elizabeth Warren captioned the photo with "Tax the rich, billionaire tears not pictured." As one New York resident tweeted under the photo, "She is a Massachusetts senator. Why is she even here?" Also, though, Mamdani did meet with Governor Hochul to discuss their challenges, Trump and childcare. It's going to be interesting to see where this Bruce Blakeman, I mean, that big topic of this morning, got a lot of people heated. Why he's decided to at least put the question out there of if he's going to run against Elise Stefanik after she declared. Got so much support from so many. I still don't quite understand it. If you do get to the bottom of it, let me know. Well, have a great weekend, whether you're going to Comic-Con, who we talked with our good friends, Kevin and Mike from Comic-Con. That is, again, this Saturday and Sunday at the Arnett Mall Event Center. So whether you're going to there or you're doing both maybe, or just going one or the other, going out hunting, remember, be safe out there, have fun. Let me know how it goes for you. I'd love to see pictures of both events on Monday morning's program. You can text those at any time to that number on the bottom of the screen or email me at frank@wydctv.com. On next week's program, we're going to be talking with Joe Barlow from the Crystal Chords. They've got a couple of really exciting events coming up that I know Joe's a fan favorite, Joe Barlow. She's going to be joining us next week. She's always such a big part of the Salvation Army Telethon right here on Frankly Speaking that we're glad to have her come on and talk about the Crystal Chords and those amazing singers. So that will be next week, and we'll have a lot more next week as well. So join us every weekday morning starting at 6 for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV, Big Fox. We will see you bright and early Monday morning. I look forward to it already. Have a great weekend.
More cars, lower prices. Simmons Rockwell. Make car buying simple when you drive your deal at a Simmons Rockwell location near you, where you'll always find more cars at lower prices.